to Heart Shaped Box Presents Up Close and Personal. This week we are joined by Dorte Hartmann from the band a.k.a. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing? You okay? So do you want to start by telling us where your kind of story starts?
Yeah, I'm from Denmark, and I actually grew up in the northern of Jutland. So that's like the rural area, the not cool area to be from in Denmark. A small town called Hjørring, very provincial. Nobody sticks out. Everybody minds their own business, and nobody listens to rock and roll. So and now I'm situated in Copenhagen. Have been for the most of my adulthood, and I am never going back to where I'm from, the rural parts. People love it. I don't.
So not even when you get older, you don't think it's a place to go retire and go back to the quiet life?
I'm just not that quiet, I'm just a loud woman.
So how did you get involved in music then? So kind of obviously you just said your background being non-music associated going into...
Yeah, I think my parents never listened to music. I wasn't introduced to music before I became a teen. And I can say honestly, the only reason why I got involved with music was because of MTV. We had the big cable package where I grew up. My parents weren't a lot at home. They worked a lot. So when I was home alone, not going anywhere in the summer vacations, and was a bit of a, I was like, I wouldn't say I wasn't a freak. I fitted in and played handball and everything that you ought to do, but I never really fitted in. I always felt a bit strange around the popular girls who loved Take That and Boyzone and all of those acts. And then suddenly, and I had an older sister, 6 years older than me, who went to high school just as the rock era, the grunge rock era exploded. So since I was a kid, actually, MTV was my way into music, and the whole 90s scene when I was a kid, it was just shit, man. It just exploded my mind that you can be like that you could be so free and you could be so grunge and you could be whatever you wanted to be. And I looked around in my adolescence and my teen, and I couldn't see it mirrored anywhere in my surroundings, in my neighborhood. None of my friends knew who Kurt Cobain was, but I knew who Kurt Cobain was, although he had died. But that didn't matter for me. I had it, and I wrote it with the pencils all over my school bag, and that was how I started. It was actually, I remember Ray Coates, the famous MTV host from that time. And I remember, I was really just a kid. I remember him telling us in MTV News that Kurt Cobain was dead. And we cried, me and my sister, although I didn't really know what I was crying about, but I wept. And then afterwards, I deep dived into everything grunge, everything rock. And when I became a teen, it was No Doubt, it was early teenhood, No Doubt, Skunk and Nancy, Alanis Morissette, all of those. And it was my way in it, because in my town, there wasn't a place for it. There wasn't any grunge girls. There wasn't any punks. There weren't anything. It was just popular girls, popular guys playing sports and listening to whatever kind of chew gum pop, bubblegum pop was coming out, or the huge boy bands at that time. And it didn't at all touch me.
So I know you mentioned your parents weren't really into music much, but what kind of music did you get kind of like used to when you were a kid? What was playing in the family home?
If there was playing any music, it was like old Danish songs on the radio. It's like, yeah, it's very, very old kind of music for older people, and it was very rare. My parents really didn't like music. Actually, for what is it now? I think 8 years ago, I took my mother to her first concert because I played a big festival. She didn't came to see me. that wasn't that important, but she came to see Bryan Adams.
Oh, right, okay.
She just fucking loved it. And it was on her 60th birthday. Okay. So that was the first concert she ever attended.
Not a bad one to attend.
Yeah.
Did you always feel that you were going to get involved in music somehow?
I always felt that I would have something with music to do, because I was really a music nerd. I already deep dived into the rock scene when I was quite young, and I was the only one who did it. But I think I always thought I would do it as a journalist. I've always been quite good in writing, and I wrote a lot of prose, and I could see myself as, you know, radio host or A&R. I didn't know what A&R was at that time, but I could see myself working with music. But as a musician, never, ever, ever. It didn't even occur to me, because I have never been on the music scene. I never gone to school to being taught to play music. I'm really an autodidact, and most of the time I don't know what I'm doing.
So what made you take that leap into performing then? Yeah,
that's I feel a bit ashamed to admit it, but that was how it was, and I'm gonna tell you the true story.
Okay, go on.
When I was in my my puberty, my first boyfriend, my first real love, he played the guitar, and he was very, very good. And he had long hair and Converse shoes and everything, and played a Fender Jaguar. And I was so jealous at that guitar, because he was playing it all the time. Like when we sat in her room, his room, it was a guy, his room, he would always play it. I was like, no, can we please hook up and make out? And he was like, I just need to. And then in the beginning, like a month in, I realized, okay, you have to be smart here, Dorte. You have to be really smart. Either you're gonna hate that guitar for the rest of your life, or then you can learn how to play it. So I asked him if he could teach me like the basics on a guitar. And although I'm left-handed, I couldn't afford a left-handed guitar, so he taught me to play right-handed guitar on his guitar. And since that day, I never looked back. But it is a very, very difficult instrument to master. It's okay to start out with some chords and play like really easy sing-along songs, but it have taken me many years to master it as a solo guitarist. And now he still plays a little bit, but on a hobby basis, and I just keep on playing. So thank you to my first love. I would never have played without you.
So how long was it before you converted over back to a left-hand guitar then?
I have never converted it.
I play still right. Always played right. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that also make a signature sound for me. Actually, I play more staccato than most guitarists, because I always struggle with the rhythm, because it's the other hand that I'm not used to use. So I actually think it gives me like a signature sound. I tried to convert it into left hand a couple of years ago, but I didn't have the patience for it. It was just like beginning all over. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna do whatever I do.
So has there been an album that's ever changed your life?
Yeah, many albums actually, but the one I will highlight today is an album that it's an old album, but I met it in the middle of the 2000s. I have been traveling a lot, and I came back to Copenhagen, or I actually moved to Copenhagen for the first time. And I met this album, and I was also being a bit, ruthless, and I didn't know. I was finding myself in a position in life where I didn't know where to go. I didn't know, should I move to Copenhagen? Should I stay on the road? I lived and traveled around Mexico, USA, lived in Switzerland, went to Germany. So I really didn't know what to do. And then suddenly I fell over Pornography by The Cure. And it's like the darkest album. And I was feeling quite dark myself and confused. And it just hit me like, okay, this is probably the most honest and also ugly music I ever heard. And it had so much expression. And then I actually literally deep dived into The Cure for 2 years. I didn't listen to anything else. I bought all of their CDs, and just like the late 70s and 80s periods with all of the dark albums like 17 Seconds and Faith and Pornography, going up to Disintegration, and actually, yeah, finishing with the Blood Flowers in 2000. It meant so much to me. It reflected how dark I felt, but also the positive vibe about moving into a depression, but also out of it, and making another story, and using this dark music as actually a stepping stone to heal yourself. And also to make, it was actually the stepping stone I needed to make music again. When I started making music in the beginning of the zeros, I played a lot of cover, Alanis Morissette, what, Granny Apes, hard rock chicks, and when I met The Cure, like really met The Cure, not the pop Friday I'm in Love, Boys Don't Cry, I knew those songs, but when I really met The Cure, I couldn't stop producing music. Just like, so I deep dived into post-punk and Joy Division and Bauhaus, Ministry, everything. And it actually changed my life, and it changed how I felt, and also like feeling like a victim sometimes, because when you're in a depression, which probably I was at that time, music showed me and gave me empowerment. It didn't pacify me, actually. It made me believe in that I could create something myself, and I started to create a lot of music, and I never stopped.
That's the magic with music, isn't it? In some ways, you can put songs on and they might have a meaning to one person that's different to another person, but at that time in your life, you reflect on the lyrics or the music in the background. And as you said, that's why it has changed your life, because you then kind of took the lyrics you needed to inspire yourself. So that is the magic with music. That's why we all love music, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also funny because it's not about age, it's not about race, it's not about social background, because the one that I mirrored myself to was Robert Smith. And as you can see, I am not a 60-year-old British male guy. And that's the magic. I could still really relate to him, and that's the beauty with music. It doesn't need to be one-on-one reflection.
No, not at all. No. So coming back, I think I might know the answers to this one, but if you could listen to one artist only for the rest of your life, who would that be?
It would be The Cure, and it's because that everyone who knows The Cure really good, they know that you go through so many genres. You will always find something fitting for your mood, and you'll always find I have never, and that they have produced music for since the late 70s, and they're coming out with an album this year, and it's like I can't really think of another band who did that, and in so many genres, and still being true to themselves. Nobody ever felt like The Cure sold out. Okay, then maybe not as popular with the new records as they were, but still they're not doing any compromises. They're themselves, and authenticity, that's what they have.
They've always been The Cure, that's for sure. They've never kind of gone, well, we need to go more mainstream. And I know maybe people say the earlier stuff, like you said, that maybe was a little bit more mainstream, but it never felt that way, did it, with them?
Exactly. And I actually don't think they felt it themselves, and they struggled to drug abuse, to very dark times, and they are still here, and they are still like, when you see The Cure live, I don't even know if I should look at Gallup or I should look at Robert Smith, because they are just into the music, although some of the songs are 30-35 years old, and they still just feel them, and they feel so brand new still. And oh my God, so that's a thrill to listen to and look at, and especially as a musician, a big idol for me, a very big idol.
It feels like they make the music for themselves first and foremost, and then hope that people enjoy it because they enjoy it, and I think that's what you have to do with music. You sometimes find with artists, they force the sound that they think they should sound like, or what they think people are going to buy into, and I think it's readable straight away. People will see it straight away. No, this is manufactured sound, and they don't buy into it as much. Whereas when you've just got a natural sound, Idols, Fontaines DC are two of bands I think you could probably say straight away of the recent kind of bands that you go, no, they've got their sound, they make music for themselves, and luckily the fans love it. You don't see any other bands kind of similar to them out there. So yeah, and I think that's what was really good with The Cure.
Yeah.
So what would your death row dinner be?
Oh, I sound so decadent, but yeah, I'm from close to the sea. Everywhere in Denmark is close to the sea. So when I die, death row, or maybe just in a mansion because I'm gonna find a rich husband. I will have oysters, I'll have seafood, I'll have lobsters, I'll have bouillabaisse, and I will have a lot of champagne.
Like it. So are you a tea or coffee person?
Both. Coffee in the morning, and when I need to wake up, tea in the evening, and especially to like heal when my throat is sore. And as a singer, I always have chamomile tea with me and peppermint tea and stuff like that. So both.
See, as someone who doesn't sing, is asking someone who does, is it a really good thing to be having like the tea with the honey and stuff like that, or do you find there's other stuff that kind of works better?
I think it works.
Yeah.
Also because if you have an infection, honey actually is antibacterial, so it works.
Right. What are your favorite type of crisps?
I really try not to eat as many crisps because I can really eat crisps. So but if I am like letting myself, like after Roskilde, having hangover for 4 days, I will always choose Pringles, sour cream and onion.
Nice, good shout. This is one of the reasons why the Chris question's always been one of my questions I ask, is because if a packet's open, they're my downfall. Like I'll just eat a pack of anything. I love crisps, especially, and I find cheaper ones about, like, you know, if it's like the salt and vinegar little sticks, and you know the ones that are 50p in England for a packet that you just know are not really made of anything of decent quality.
Exactly. But I also, if I'm into, you know, having like a binger where I just don't care, will always be crisp, not sweets. No. Always crisp.
It just feels like you can go for longer with crisps, whereas like chocolate, after a bit you kind of go, yeah, I'm getting a bit sickly now. But yeah. So what was the first album you ever brought up?
The first CD I bought for myself in my young teenhood, it was Silverchair, Freak Show.
Yeah. Lovely.
I was really into Daniel Johns because, you know, Kurt Cobain was dead, so I had to find someone. I had to find someone who was alive to put in all my teen love. It was Daniel Johns.
Can you remember the first gig you ever attended?
Oh, the first gig I attended. The first gig I attended as myself, where I wasn't like brought by adults at a festival where there were a lot of bands, mostly Danish band. The first gig I attended for myself, where I went from Hjørring in the northern of Jutland all the way to Copenhagen by myself, was to see the very first hymn show that they ever put up in Denmark. And I climbed onto the stage and stole some of the candles. I was a very big hymn fan.
Good band, yeah. Do you remember the name of your first ever demo tape?
Yeah, I think like the first original thing I put out was in the late zeros, where I was deep diving into post-punk, and I made a post-punk band called The Taboos, and we put out a first demo tape on CD, which we burned ourselves and did the cover art ourselves, and it was called Burst, and I'm actually still very proud of it, although it was only uploaded to MySpace, MySpace, okay. And I can't find it anymore, so you can only listen to it by the two CDs I have left here at home. But I'm actually proud of it. I think
you still got the actual demo tape itself then?
Yeah,
physical
we
format.
recorded it at a studio with some of our friends, and then we put it out ourselves and took them out to gigs and sold them around. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So what song would you put on if you're up for a bit of a dance? What makes you want to dance?
Yeah, I could choose like different settings. Sometimes I actually can't go clubbing, although I'm really not into electronic music. But when I'm in Berlin, I sometimes find the urge to go to like an electronic party. And of the newer things I could mention there, it's Kelly Lee Owens. She's a really great electronic artist with a bit more warm sound. I could recommend her, but if I'm like just going to an indie party, which is my favorite kind of party, I'm gonna go dancing. Jonathan Richmond, I was dancing in a lesbian bar, always gets me. Who?
So on the flip side of that, though, if you're in that kind of mood, you just want to put something on that's going to make you feel sad, but you just want to sit down and have a sad song. What would that be?
Yeah, everything from The Cure in the 1980s. But if I should say a newer song, an excellent British artist who I admire quite a lot, although we are not in the same genre at all, I would say Self-Esteem really made me reflect when I heard I Do This All the Time. The first time I actually cried because she just closed in, put a pin on something that I really can relate to as a woman in my 30s. And like the line, stop trying to have so many friends. Don't be intimidated by all the babies they have. Don't be embarrassed that all you had is fun. Prioritize pleasure. It's like, I have never heard it so clearly before. I've never heard a woman speak directly to another woman and telling us, hey, it's okay who you are and whatever you do. And I wept, and I think she's a great new political artist. And I'm so proud that this is happening right now as a female artist, that we are actually changing the narrative. We can sing about something else than just falling in love and being sexy and being cute. We can talk about fucking important matters, and we can change lives for the next generations, but also how we reflect on our own lives. So I think, it makes me sad, but also shit happy.
She's an amazing artist. I really do like Self-Esteem. I'm a parent of daughters. I've got daughters myself, and you see people like that, like you said, changing the narrative. And when you're seeing stuff that's like what's coming out of the States at the moment, and the kind of information, you feel, you start feeling worried for your children. And then you see artists like that who kind of turn around and go, no, actually, well, wait a minute, this is what you should be feeling. And it'll be hopefully them that change my girl's opinion anyway of life, and not the actions of idiots in the States.
Yeah, and I think really the British scene has just had a revival the last 4, 5, 6 years, not just on the punk scene, but also on the pop scene, like producing these artists who feel that they need, maybe it's after Brexit, you guys, you just feel like, okay, I don't give a shit, now I'm gonna tell it like it is. And now you have these huge commercial successes. Like Self-Esteem is huge. I guess when I just stumbled upon her. She's not known in Denmark at all. Nobody knows her. She's not being played on the radio, but she's like this very big pop artist in Britain, right?
Yeah, she's got a name for herself. She's got a big following, and definitely she's up there with one of the household names now, I think, established herself. But even down to like from myself, who kind of around the kind of grassroots of the music scene in England at the moment, there's a lot of girl bands, well, especially female fronted bands as well, that are coming up. And like you said, I think a mixture of Brexit and COVID and the restrictions of lockdowns and stuff like that, and obviously the political slide that's happened this week, it's like there's kind of like a punk era coming back with the music scene. I don't necessarily mean punk music, but that kind of, let's make a voice for this generation again. Let's start being heard, because we're not being heard in any other landscape other than the arts and if music. And I heard a band yesterday, Flora Bar and Grill, they're called. A girl had sent me an email with their music in, and amazing energy, but straight away it's very much the thoughts of today in the lyrics. And I think, as again, coming back as a parent of daughters, it's exciting that these female fronted bands are making their way to the forefront, because I think girls, especially getting into music, it's good for them. You know, I always say that you had like a resurgence with music when Oasis came along, and stuff like that in England, because young lads would see that people pick up a guitar. Hopefully this is going to be the wave now for the younger generation of girls.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm very inspired by the British scene. I look a lot on, and I'm a member of Loud Women's group, and I adore what's happening, and it's not happening in Denmark yet. I'm the only Riot girl who's like public a feminist and talking out in interviews, and I get quite a lot of media attention because I like have lyrics about sexual consent, about slut shaming, about power and norms, and I speak up and I say it's not okay, and I make people quite uncomfortable at concerts because I'm not just being pretty and saying hello, I love being here. I'm saying, hey guys, keep your fucking dick in the pants if you're sleeping and stuff like that. Yeah. Because we need to change the culture, and we need to change it when we talk to each other about taboo thematics. Yeah. And I really think that you are the front runners in England right now, or in the whole of Great Britain. So I'm very inspired by a scene.
So going on to, if you had a festival in your back garden, who would you like as your headliner?
Yeah, I wrote down a couple of names, and yeah, much to your surprise, it would of course be The Cure as the main headliner. They talk to every generation, and they can still put on a magnificent show. Actually, last time I saw them, not the last time, the second last time I saw them, I went to Manchester to catch them, and took a flight because it was sold out in Copenhagen. And I was like, I'm not gonna miss it. And I flew to Manchester, and it was the greatest. And it was 2 weeks prior to the terrorist attack at Ariana Grande, and it was at the same arena. And yeah, it was so in a way it just makes sense in so many ways that they played there, and now they're still doing festivals. They're also promoting new artists, and I just yeah, I'm such a big fan. But if I should say both some new and older bands that would be in my favorite festival, it would of course be Hole, the most neglected band on earth. She's the most scorned woman ever, and she's so talented, and nobody recognizes it. We are beginning to recognize it. Snail Mail just played a great concert, and she actually covered "I'm Miss World" by Hole, and nobody in the audience knew it. They were just like, "Oh, great song!" I was like, "No, it's Hole." And some other old timers, B-52s, never seen them. They're on my bucket list, but you know, they're going on their last tour now and only in the US, so I'm never gonna see them, and that's like, oh shit, I hate that. Then we have the Gun Club. Jeffrey Lee Pierce died many years ago, so that's never gonna happen, but it's also one of my favorite bands, have so much drive and were ages beyond that time. Pixies original lineup. Ooh, and your favorite English Pride and Joy before she supported the Tories, Kate Bush. I was in Manchester when she just put out that statement about supporting the Tories, and people were like, what the fuck, shut up, Kate Bush, we love you, please don't go into politics.
She's pulled it back now though, since Stranger Things. The tracks, people have forgotten all about that now.
Okay, oh so, yeah, running up that hill now.
Yeah, see.
For newer bands, I would say the OCs. It's one of the greatest live bands out there. Yes, because Karen O is just the fucking queen. And Idols, my favorite British band, and I just saw them 2 times this summer, and oh my god, they amaze me. I always highlight them because they're the only male band who actually speaks up on feminism and have songs like consent and don't touch me on the dance floor. And I'm so inspired, and I'm so grateful that men are finally picking up on the fight and the struggle it is to fight for equality. We have to be together in this. Yeah. It's not two separate genders. We are all genders fighting for equality. So thank you, idols, for bringing this to the male. It's very masculine. It's very male, and they have so many very, very. How can you say, they have so many subjects that are pretty sore, like that are hard to talk about, and they just do it. Like they just do it. So suddenly they get probably also a lot of right-wing guys to sing about anti-immigration, and it's like, yes, that's what art can do. And suddenly they probably start to reflect, oh yeah, if his best friend is an immigrant and he is so cool, maybe I should stop hating immigrants. That's fucking clever. Thank you, idols.
I love them. Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands at the moment. I think the last album, Crawler, just obviously it was all about his battle with his addictions and stuff. And I just thought it was so, you know, I don't know if you caught his set at Glastonbury on TV or anything. If you don't, go and Google it, but he did Beachland Ballroom live, and just the emotion in that song.
Yeah, it's also one of
yeah. But you're right in the fact that having male voices in that kind of thing as well. I was at a Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, if you've heard of them. I was at their concert, and it was one of the first ones I'd gone to after COVID. And the first thing he did was, after a couple of songs, was, I want a female only mosh pit. So he made all the guys stand there, and he literally said, if any of you guys step in that mosh pit, I stop the concert right now. This is, girls have got to feel safe at my gigs, and no one did, and it was really good to watch. You just saw all the lads standing around making a circle, and the girls were all loving it, because for once they can mosh without getting groped and without, you know, it is a shame that we have to do that. And that it's just not a natural thing for a guy to go, oh, there's a girl there, I won't touch them. You know, it's a shame that we can't do that, but it's nice that people are starting to notice it and help the scene out.
Exactly. And I went up in front in the mosh pit for idols last Saturday at Roskilde, and I also was at Primavera in Barcelona. But I'm gonna catch the Glastonbury show on YouTube. Yeah. I actually felt really safe, because they always, Joe Talbot just always tell the audience to, hey, we are a loving audience, we are in this together, we can embrace everybody, security, get your hands off them, we are all about love. And you know what, that was how it felt like. I also was in the mosh pit to Turnstile, and I actually liked Turnstile's new record a lot, but it wasn't the same vibe. It just wasn't the same vibe. You can actually, you can tell. It's the audience is almost the same. It really speaks to the same kind of people. Yeah. But how they behave on stage also reflect on how we feel in the audience. And Idols is just doing such a good job. I'm a good, tall, sturdy girl, so I'm not afraid to go into the mosh pit. But just I'm not even afraid of getting groped or anything when it's Idols. You just don't do that.
So I think you touched on a few bits at the moment, but what kind of current music are you listening to at the moment?
Yeah, like Idols, all the British scene, Dry Cleaning, Squid, Fontaines. I must say, I think Idols are levels beyond everybody else. I must say, I also caught Fontaines DC, and they were great, but they are just not on that level. And Shame, not even close. Sorry guys, but you have a lot of years to be as good as Idols. One band that really impresses me, that I think is not having the success which they should have, it's Tropical Foxstorm from Australia. They are just such a great live band. You should really look into them if you don't know them. They're quite difficult on record because they're so experimental, but live, it was the best show I saw on whole Primavera. It was on the verge of being as good as Idols. They have two female guitarists, and they just play the shit out of their guitars. And the male singer, he's like this mix of Joe Talbot and Nick Cave, and it's crazy live. And I think like having these female guitarists, you rarely see them. And I'm also a female guitarist myself. We just play differently. It's different. The figures are different, the licks are different, the hooks are different. And they are one of the bands who really get something new out of their 50-50 gender band constellation. So I would say they really, I find it difficult. Some of their records are quite difficult to listen to, and the newest is not the greatest, but live, catch them. And then of course, Amel and the Sniffers, I saw them when they were such a young band 4 or 5 years ago at a small festival in Denmark. Nobody really knew them. And one of my drummer friends were like, oh, I can't watch this. The drummer and the bass doesn't play really well together. And I was like, okay, come on. Why should you fucking look into that? Look at the energy. And now they're probably the biggest like punk female fronted band in the world right now. And I just love to follow their journey, and all my love to them.
They're amazing live. As I said, I've just seen their recent tour over in England, and it's amazing. It's she's just got so much energy as well, and personality on the stage. Can't quite understand her when she starts talking on the stage, because she's got a very strong Australian accent, but she makes up for it in her songs, and her attitude on her stage presence alone is just incredible. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
and it's fun to look at Australia right now, because they haven't had an expert, really good rock expert, for many years. And in the last couple of years, there are really coming a lot of interesting band out of Australia, and they are so inspired by Britain, but still they're different. So I actually follow that scene quite closely. I think Europe, we're lacking behind. It's like Britain has it right now. You got Australia booming. US have always been what US is about, and they have all this Lucy Dacus, Gillian Baker, Phoebe Bridgers kind of scene, Snail Mail, Sucker Mommy. I love it, but like Europe, we don't have anything, and we need to adjust toward Germany. And I just had a 11 show tour in Germany, and it's funny to go abroad. I'm still a upcoming artist, but when I played Flinter shows, which is feminist, lesbian, shows, there were so many people attending, because you probably suddenly have a great scene, a big scene with also female attendances, and I can see it's happening, but it's slow. It's really slow, and I hope that we can fuse what's ever happening in Germany right now with what's happening in UK, and like trying to get some Scandinavian in it. You think Scandinavian, oh, it's equality, oh, feminism is so big in Scandinavian. It's like, no, it's not. Nobody want to talk about it. I'm seeing as a pariah. It's like, ugh, why do we talk about feminism when we already got equality? It's like, hey, guys, we don't.
It really surprises, it really surprises me that, because I always, Scandinavia I've always thought is more forward than the UK. I lived in Spain for 5 years, and where I lived in Spain, there's a very big expat community of Scandinavians. So I met a lot of people from Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and they always seemed to be ahead of us when it came to conversations. It would go down a kind of like that kind of talk. So when you were saying earlier about how you get a lot of attention because you're very outspoken, very surprised me, because I thought it would just be a norm over in Scandinavia, really.
I think Sweden is different than Denmark. They are used to talk about feminism and equality, but every Dane loathe the Swedish correctness. And it's like, because in Denmark, we have this self-sufficient kind of approach. It's like, we don't need to talk about the problems because we don't have a problem. And so we hide everything under the carpet and just get really drunk. And it's like a Danish mentality. And that actually, we are a lot who speaks up right now in the last couple of years after Me Too, also in the music business. So things are changing, but it's still very, very slow. Very, very slow, much slower than Germany, much slower than UK. And actually a British girl saw one of my shows in Copenhagen, and she came up to me and she was like, I lived here 4 years. I never seen an artist like you. Thank you. There are so many of you in the UK. I would wish that you could go over there, because it's really, she was from Brighton, I think. There are so many like you, but thank you for bringing this to Denmark. I never felt so uncomfortable at a concert, and that's what we need to have. And I was just like, yeah, hell yeah.
Good praise, good praise. So finally, my final question, what song would they play at your funeral?
I got 2 songs, which I hope. One who's soothing, 9 Inch Nails, A Warm Place. It's a totally electronic song from one of the darkest albums in history, The Downward Spiral. But that song comforts me, and I think it will comfort everybody who listens to it. It just reminds me of sunshine and A Perfect Day and Lou Reed and everything. And there isn't any lyrics to reflect on. So that would be a good, like, going out in style. And then Change by Big Thief, which I also just saw live. And it actually also made me cry. And especially the lyric lines: change like the sky, like the leaves, like a butterfly, death like a door to a place we never been before.
Yeah.
That could be my exit line.
It's perfect, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's meant to be. Oh, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. What's next for a mess? What have you got in the future? Is there a single coming out? Any tours that you want to kind of let people know about?
Yeah, I'm putting out my new single after the EP that I put out in the late 2021. My Different Faces is coming out this fall, maybe in the late summer. It's already done, so I just need to make the strategy with my label. And then I'm just actually got announced for the second biggest festival in Denmark, so I'm playing that in August, and that's fucking awesome for an artist like me. I'm a niche kind of artist, and the genre I do in Denmark is not very it's probably more frowned upon actually than popular. we are very hip-hop kind of Danish hip-hop kind of country right now, so, and pop, so that they choose me, it's like I don't know what's going on. And then I'm going on a tour in Germany again, and Austria and Switzerland in the beginning of next year, having a couple of festivals. But I really would love to come to UK. So anybody gatekeeping out there watching, MS want to go to UK. And I actually just sold some merch to some guys from this week from UK, and we got more attention. Although I never had a campaign or a label working in UK, but maybe it's time.
Well, anyone who's listening out, let's get you brought over here, because I think definitely something that will resonate with a lot of audiences over in the UK, certainly. Well, again, thank you so much for giving up your time and coming and joining us on the Heart Box Up Close and Personal. Have a lovely day. Take care.
Thank you.